Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you my Fractal FM9 Dr.80 preset, but it's more than just the Dr.80, which is the Dr. Z-80 by the way. It pairs the Z-80 with my Benson Chimera. So this is the preset that I reach for when I play live with the FM9. It's pretty much my signature preset, if you can think about it that way. If you haven't tried just the Chimera preset that I have available for FM9, go snag that. It's for free. All of my Chimera resources are for free. And if you like that, come back and snag this preset. It's the Dr.80 with the chime. It sounds great together. I'm going to show you some sound examples blended with a live mix kind of situation, and then I'm going to show you some samples by itself, and then I'm going to walk you through the preset. Use the section markers below if you want to skip around, but I hope you enjoy, and you can snag this preset at thetoneshepherd.com. So that's just a little taste of some of the stuff that this can do in context of a mix. Let me just talk to you about what's included in the DRCHIME preset specifically. Like I said, I do have a Dr.80 preset that's available as well that just has just the Dr.80 on both sides with various amp variations, IRs and stuff like that. But I think the vast majority of you would be interested in the DRCHIME preset, just kind of the, the standard go-to stereo preset. Again, has Dr.80 on one side. Actually, this is the Benson and the Dr.80 on the right side. And then the cab has, you can see, tone-matched IRs for the Chimera and the Dr.80 right there. And just so you know how it's broken down, just this one preset contains pretty much everything you need for both humbuckers and single coils. I'm using the channels on both amp blocks and the cab block to kind of get that. So if you go channel A on amp block 1 and amp block 2 and the cab block, then you will have the Benson Chimera humbucker Ben 3 variation on the left, and you'll have the Dr.80 humbucker Gold variation on the right. If you go to Scene Manager and change all of these to channel B, you're going to have the Chimera humbucker V.S.O.P paired with the Dr.80 humbucker Gold. Likewise, if you go to C, now you're starting to get into the single coil presets. So single coil Ben paired with the single coil Gold. And then D is a single coil Ben paired with the single coil SC75. So you have two variations for humbuckers, two variations for single coils. But my recommendation, if you're using humbuckers, and I'm using, Lambertones Crema in the neck and Grinder in the bridge with a Jennings Voyager, I recommend just channel A for everything. So I've set up 8 scenes that are pretty, you could get away with kind of using this all in one, using this preset, just changing the tempo and going song to song. There's a lot of stuff that this can cover, but obviously you can tweak this to high heavens and get really song-specific things. I've started to do that with some songs, and I'm really enjoying the flexibility that the Fractal gives. But the clean verb sounds like this. And let's just move through the scenes. So scene number 2 is Breakup, and that uses the Guardian photon speed. It's the light speed, essentially. Just adds a little hair. Still has that nice reverb tail. Again, this is primarily designed for worship. So if you're trying to use this template for something other than worship, just take the reverb down a little bit, I would, and make it more bluesy, whatever. But I think just the raw gain stages are pretty well set up for most any genre. But let's check out Crunch. That uses the King of Tone. And then scene 4 is my drive, and that starts to add a little bit of like a heavier overdrive. I'm using the 1981, the DRV clone, I believe it is. And then number 5, scene 5, is the lead, and that stacks 2 King of Tones together. Pretty beefy. Pretty beefy. Now then, scene 6 is that same drive section just with more verb. And you're like, more verb? That already had a ton of verb. Well, like the songs that I showed you at the beginning of the playthrough, there's times, especially if you're the only guitar player and you're just ripping on a big section, it can come in handy. Son of Suffering was a good example. So, use with caution, but it's there for you. And then I've just got this little tape ambient thing. And then obviously your standard tried and true swell patch worship thing. Your long-tailed reverb and just for those underscore moments and such. And you could obviously add gain to that. I'll show you kind of my layout in a little bit, but I have a layout where you can access the individual blocks and change overdrives and stuff like that. You may have your layout that you're comfortable with that I'm sure that will drop right in with what I've got, but I do have a layout for you guys if you want to take a look at that. Just another note, there's a couple other blocks in here just that I'm not using in scenes, but you should kind of know what they do. The first compressor block is something that I've noticed the Bethel guys use a lot, just really heavy compression and on some of their clean parts, and I really enjoy that. And so I think the best way to get that is with two compressors stacked on top of each other. Songs like Alabaster Heart, All Hail King Jesus, stuff like that, Reign Above It All, You Deserve It All, some of the older Bethel stuff especially, but even the newer stuff just has that really fat, clean thing going on, and what helps with that is that second compressor block. Kind of adds that percussive thing back to the clean signal and can sound really good for that. You get the idea there. Then obviously the pitch block, you can play with the position of this. If you want to use this pitch block as a virtual capo, you might move it first in the signal chain. I found though that putting it here, I don't know, it can have its benefits, but I have the standard. If you turn the pitch block on, the chorus block, the pan trem, which I'm not using a whole lot of in the scenes, but if you click those and just audition some of the channels, I have set up all the channels to have some basic presets in there that you might want to check out. So obviously that might come in handy more on the drive stuff. So that adds an upper octave and a lower octave that you can play with. That's channel A. Channel B is a little bit more. It's upper octave and lower octave, but more upper octave. And then channel C is the opposite, more lower than higher. So if you're playing, higher up the neck and you want to beef that up a little bit, then C would be good. And then D is the virtual capo in case you want to use that to transpose and stuff like that. So that's what the pitch block is. So check that out. And then, like I said, also there's, the chorus and the trem. I have a couple different choruses on here just by default. You can play with them. Kind of cool sounding, but I had the pitch block on too. And then I have the dimension chorus in here. Sometimes I like to use this one just really subtle. I'll just bring the mix way down and even throw it on some, heavier drive sections and use it as kind of like a doubler of sorts. Just kind of adds a tiny bit of width. The other thing you could do for that is the enhancer. I probably should put it in here, but I love the enhancer for that purpose too. Let me just show you what I did on that Faithful Now song at the very beginning. On scene 5, I used it on the rhythm part just to kind of add width. Let me show you on and off. And let me take that off. I'd say the enhanced block doesn't make as much sense to use it when you're already having stereo amps with, different amp on both sides. It already has a pretty wide field, and so I think the enhanced block really is better used for if you have maybe after a mono amp or something like that. But in this case, it does kind of add some cool stuff. I'm using the modern algorithm 7575 with these settings if you want to copy that, but you could add that in the preset if you wanted. I just thought that was a kind of a cool effect. So let's look at the pan trem. I have a pretty simple quarter note tremolo for channel A. Channel B, it's an 8th note. Channel C is really fun. It's just like a very subtle panner, and it's really light. You could use it on a lot of different things and just keep it on. Just adds a little extra bit of width. And then on channel D, I have a little bit stronger 16th note trem. Of course, you can play around with the different delays in both delay blocks. I have, some set up, and you can just play around. I do have different channels programmed for the delay blocks. So, obviously kind of explore the scenes, see what you like, see what you don't like, replace some stuff. It's all good. Use this as a template and just kind of like a base for the creative ideas that you've got. But I think this is a really good starting place. Just the EQ blocks, just to just to give you a little clue into my thought process here, I really don't have much going on in the EQ blocks. They're really just for you to tailor to your guitar. If you're listening to this video and you're like, man, my guitar doesn't sound like that, you can reach for the EQ block. Really, my encouragement would be if you're trying to get your guitar to sound more like this guitar, use the first EQ block. If you're trying to get your entire sound to kind of tame some harsh frequencies here or there, I would use the last EQ block. You can also use these as ways to boost your signal. If you want a little boost, you can use a different channel and then just increase the level. That's always a good way to do that. In fact, I should probably point out that in this preset, scene 1 on the volume pan block does that. So it's actually using channel B right here just to give the level a little boost, because the difference between the breakup and the clean was a little bit, the clean signal dropped too much, so I boosted it back. So now the clean is a little bit on par with the breakup and the heavier drive sections. So you can use creative effects like that. I use this last EQ block a lot to do like a solo boost or something like that when needed. Before I let you go, I just want to show you my layout. If this doesn't apply to you, skip the video, end it, whatever. But if you want to know how I've kind of laid out the board, I think we can just look at it here and you'll get the idea. Basically, this mimics what I have going on my feet. So the very first layout you'll see is, layer 1 essentially, and this gives you all of your presets. So in my case, I can tap this one and that will take me to scene, my scenes for that preset. And I have my tuner built into this very first block. So if I hold it down, you can't see it on here, but my tuner just came up if you hold this first button right there. And then if you press it again, it'll come off tuner mode. So that's what this is, this little secondary function of a tuner. Then if you reach for this top button right here, if you press it once, that gets you back to the presets. But if you hold it, it will get you into the effects. And so that's layout layer 3. And you can see I have my drive 1A, drive 1B, drive 1C. That's to select the channel. And then drive 1 bypasses to turn it on or off. So really your first 3 stages are right here at your feet. So I'm on scene 1, by the way, and basically I can toggle between my drives and progress through my, gain stages and do a lot with that with just using, one scene and just using these effects right here. So this bypasses it. So now I'm clean. If I engage it, then I am on drive 1A right now. If I click this, that's channel B. Unfortunately, you can't see it, but that's where I clicked it right there. And then you can go to drive 1C. And then I have another button that allows you to engage the second drive block. So that just turned this on. And then I just turned both drive blocks off. And I'm there. This one engages the reverb 2A. That's this button right here. And then if you tap this button, it goes to another layer and it gives you more effects. So that's where the second comp comes in. You can turn that on or off. Or the pitch block. Again, the second drive block option is here too. Or the chorus. Or the trem pan block. And then if you click this one again, it'll take you back to the other scene. And then if you press scenes, it'll take you back to scene mode. So that's my layout. Again, take it or leave it. If you've got something that works really well for you, just use that and incorporate these effects in it. No big deal there. But this is a pretty simple one that seems to kind of work well for me. That's pretty much it. If you like the sounds that you heard, you can snag this preset at thetoneshepherd.com and check out some other resources I have available there. Again, if you're a user of Tonex, Line 6, Helix, Fractal, NAM, any of that, I have my Chimera available for free for any of those platforms. So if you just want to like dip your toes in what the Tone Shepherd's tones are all about, just snag that preset for free. Try it out. Again, if you like it, then you can add to it. I think this is a really good add. It creates a little bit more stereo width than just the Chimera by itself. And it's the preset that I'm going to reach for. Also want to invite you to my Instagram channel where I talk about gear, but I also talk about the heart and craft of worship. I'm a worship leader, and that's my main gig at my church, and I've been doing it for 12 years. And so over on my Instagram, I talk a lot about just discipleship and full heart worship. And so if you're into that stuff, I invite you to follow me over there. If not, that's okay. You can just follow me there for the gear stuff or whatever. But I've got some song tutorials with devotional stuff on YouTube as well. So I encourage you to subscribe here, follow me on Instagram, and check out the website. But thanks for listening to this, and I hope you really enjoy the tones. Until I see you in the next video, be blessed.